We've talked governance, support, understanding what's going on. We've also brought in the idea that potentially UDFs right now, as they stand today, and even now as I'm doing this today, they're fundamentally broken. Okay, they are, yes, they're a preview feature, they're in public preview, they're being really heavily pushed by everybody, but they're not usable. And I think that's something which we need to kind of drill into a little bit today, because as I was going through and looking at, well, what does this really mean? Something hit me. Hi, my name's Ross, the creator and founder of Geordie Consulting and Geordie Intelligence, the YouTube channel you're watching right now. What I thought we'd look at today is this idea that self-service is baked into Power BI, and things that threaten that self-service are a problem. And that was the bit, that's the crux, isn't it, of what I mean by, with UDFs not working the way they are right now, they're unusable. Because you want your UDFs to be able to be put in place, apply all your business logic into it, because that's the sell. That's the way this is being sold and being pitched to me as a Microsoft partner. That we need to be able to leverage business logic so that we do it once, the measure is then built, and it can easily be called as a function now by anybody in the business and utilized. And right there is where it falls down. It can't be used by anybody in the business, and that makes it pointless, unusable. Okay, so let's explore what I mean. Let's take a look and see exactly what's going on in Power BI Desktop. So here we are, okay? You should get used to seeing something like this, okay? This would be your master PBIX file or your master Power BI project files homepage, okay? As long as we have to link Power BI Semantic Model with Power BI report content, you're going to end up with something like this, okay? Maybe this will change with the project stuff as it comes through. And I need to do more looking at project stuff. It is kind of just coming through into GA now, so I think it's worth having a look. There's been a flip in the process behind it. It's gone from standard to what's now Power BI Project Enhanced views. So I'll have a look and see if we've now got something that we can understand. But fundamentally, this is where we are with the PBIX, which most of you, 90%, 99% of you, this is where you're going to be working. Now, the headache with this is, obviously, we don't want content to be built in it. We need this to be an existing model, like a report point. It becomes the rock that your analysis program is built on. People will connect to the semantic model and build reports and insights of their own based on the semantic model that's been built. Okay, this is your structured reporting point. So it has to be able to be used not just for what you want today, but for what you want tomorrow. So you need to be future-proofing elements of this. Now, one thing that happens, and one thing which really makes this work perfectly, is the ability for me to go and say, right, I'm going to create a new Power BI desktop file. So you go File, New. Yeah, so I'd go File, I'm going to create a new one, blank report, I could say, right? But what we'll do is I'll pick one that I've done already. Okay, so I've opened up this economic benefit 2 from way, way back. And then within here, I can create additional measures. Okay, so we've created some additional measures here. All right, and I always recommend, see what's going on with this, I picked the wrong thing. I always recommend creating a folder labeled secondary. Okay, call it what you want. Okay, we always say put your specific measures that you create within any measure, or within any new secondary report in the secondary folder for it. Okay, it just makes it so easy. If I come in and I'm looking at, oh, that measure is amazing. Where do I find it? And it's in secondary. Okay, no problem. It's only what is one that only exists in that report. And the reason we do that is if you think about this realistically, you say, well, we've got this folder full of measures, whatever we're going to call them, DS, which of course these are the disconnected slicer measures, so they're separate, or participation, because again, we were experimenting with this whole AI side that, oh, we don't want measures in a separate measure folder because it confuses AI. Okay. If all your measures existed within there, though, including the ones that were specific to this report, how would I find them? And how would I be aware these are the ones that are only going to be existing in this specific report today? So we say separate them. It's one of the things we recommend. We've used this time and again, year after year with clients, and it works brilliantly, especially when in 6 months' time, 9 months' time, 2 years' time, you come back and you look, that measures, that's what we need. Oh, it's not in the main model yet. What can we do to bring it through? And it's easy enough to bring it through. I mean, worst case scenario, use a slightly different name. Okay. But chances are, whatever you're putting in your secondary report probably doesn't have the rigor that you would expect in your main model, especially around naming conventions, which are a whole nother thing to get into. Naming conventions are just, honestly, advice changes. My advice, what works for you is what works. Okay. And by you, I mean you and your organization. Okay. Try and stick to standardized terms and things that make sense in the context of your organization, not necessarily things that make sense outside your organization. Be aware of that differentiation. But anyway, okay, so we've got 3 measures in this folder. We've got note, which you always put in because you need a blank measure just so that it actually appears. And all it's saying is just create new measures in here, although it's silly having it. We've obviously got that in the description of here of the table. So if you hover over it, it'll tell you host for secondary measures. Nothing in the note. Okay, so it's just a text string saying something. Don't worry. You could change it so it's not called, so instead of being called note, you could say called location for secondary measures. Whatever you want to do. Okay. The point is clear. This allows it to appear as a measures table, so it's appearing at the top with everything else. The key thing is these are secondary measures. These only exist in this table. And then we can now see these are being promoted through into here. And we've got various other measures to support that. So we've clearly built structured from unstructured. So we've shown, haven't we, these secondary measures come through. We can then promote them when we need to. The piece with UDFs is they're nowhere to be seen in here. So if I can't see the UDF in here, I don't know what's the UDF doing. And equally, well, potentially I don't need to know the business logic that's being applied to come up with the answers. And that's fine. Okay, that sounds like it's a me problem. That might be just I'm nosy, I want to know. If we go into say, let's create a new measure. Okay, and we say this is going to be our test for video. Let's just zoom that in like that. Okay. So our function's at fn underscore. This is the issue. If I cannot access the function, well, I'm not going to, am I? I'm going to do something different. And so I thought, well, the simplest solution would be to say, well, if you go back to here, you go to your DAX views, you look at your functions, and you see we have these 2 here. Sorry, not DAX. Let's go to here so we can actually read them. So we've created this format number, which is one of the first ones we said, oh, it'd be brilliant. You could put together the format numbers because when you normally have measures and it shortens, you've got, if you've got orders of magnitude between your data, potentially, it just doesn't work. So, it made sense. Brilliant. We could put this format numbers in. It could then work out, oh, this one we're going to just show the whole number. This one we're going to show like to the 1,000, to the million, to the whatever. But I need to be able to call them to use them. So if I look at this DS values, I mean, it's a 47-line function. It's not insurmountable. It's not horrendous. It's just, it's long, it's lengthy, and big chunks of it is because it contains logic for multiple types of measures. So I can't use it, because what I would have to do is say, oh, well, if you copy all this and put this in as a variable at the top of your measure, which potentially we could do, are we not inviting people to change the business logic that's then potentially going to get presented up? Because the point of those secondary measures is that I, Steve, Vicky, Jamal are doing different kinds of assessments to come up with something. And that's the democratization side, isn't it? So I'm experimenting with data. This is what I want it to do. This is what's come back. And the only way they're going to be able to do it is if they go and run something in isolation. Now, with this, of course, they can. There's nothing that we've done in these functions that you couldn't do separately. You know, this function DS values is to do with the disconnected slicers that allow us to pick an event in a year and have it work out a value for the event in the year and potentially going back over the years, plural. But that doesn't help me replicate that functionality, and that has to be the point. So if I went through and said, right, we've written this as a function that would actually go in, apply a discount or a potential, you know, for based on a year budget table that was looking at, well, what potentially growth are we looking at? So it's modifying something based on something else, and potentially might be multiple factors going into it. I could put that in a function. You know, we could say, well, tell me what next year's target value will be based on this year's value. And we could then actually project that, so I can look at, well, this is this year's value. Well, let's go back to the end of last year's value. What are we predicting this year to be? And then see, have we met or failed target? And we could build quite a complex model in with these DAX functions, which is amazing. These things are great. Do not get me wrong. Okay, I know I'm coming across terrible. They're just so not fit for purpose, while I can't use them in a secondary report. It's just the function of Power BI with these is broken. So either we don't use Power BI the way it's meant to be used, or we don't use DAX user-defined functions. And at the moment, that has to be, we can't use the user-defined functions. So completely broken, right? And they, please fix so we can use these and then actually keep progressing our journeys further forward. But that then led to this question of, is the industry steering you, the customer, you, the business user, in the right direction? And fundamentally, I actually think we're not. And this is quite a difficult topic to get into, because this is just one thing that's going through. But if we come back to here, okay, and this is the Microsoft Fabric Microsoft Fabric adoption roadmap, which I've used many times with clients, right? And this works, okay? It works. It's horrendously named. I hate the name because it just seems terrible, but it works. And it works because you've got concepts of self-service baked in. So we have the Center of Excellence, which by definition should be not just your engineering people, but also elements of the business and your data engineering component, and not data engineering, your data analysis teams who do day-to-day work with the resultant models. But your Center of Excellence has probably got more access to everything than they would do work against your primary models. Fine, no problem. What do we have below there? We've got mentoring and user enablement. And then we've got this community of practice with the little cape. The cape is the clue. These are your super users. And this is really about making users super, as opposed to saying these are super users. It's about saying, how can we enable them to do more and more work on their own? And the do more and more work on their own is the important thing. Do you remember we showed the screenshot of where we've got up to now with this semantic model? Okay, and this is just a small, noddy semantic model where I'm churning content out over time. This isn't an enterprise grade semantic model supporting 2 or 3 teams who we've got developers constantly working with. Okay, it's not the case. So we're definitely an order of magnitude down on where I would expect this to be if it was in an enterprise. And unfortunately, that order of magnitude means we'd be close to 100 reports connected to it. At the moment, as I say, we're maybe 10 to 15 connections going into it. An order of magnitude is huge. So this is what your community practice does. This is one of those things. If you do not understand that concept, okay, it's not a simple one. It's a case of saying potentially Power BI is the wrong tool for you even. If you've got that mindset of, well, we're just going to push analytics out to the business, you're not doing yourself a favor, because ain't nobody resourced to push analytics out to the business. That was the point. That was what triggered the shift at Microsoft that led to the development of Power BI, was that the legacy platforms were slow, they were expensive, and they just did not cope with the business. And time and again, I come back to the same analogy with clients, with people, with you guys, that the legacy mindset is very much the same. We will spend money, throw money at the problem, build a brilliant semantic model, or at least that was the theory. We were going to build a brilliant semantic model, and then we had changes and budget constraints, and we built something that was pretty good. Okay, yeah, pretty good. And then the consultant has to leave. We're out of money. Project's ended. We've ticked the box. We've done it. We've deployed an analytics platform that's going to last 5 to 10 years in this organization. Aren't we amazing? Everyone give yourselves a pat on the back. The consultant's about to leave, and somebody is downloading content from that into Excel to build new analysis content. That single act undermines the whole project. And what I see, because I see it regularly, is lots of people say, business, can we have it in Excel? If the business is saying, can we have it in Excel? 9 times out of 10, 2 things have happened, okay? And you've got to pick and choose which one of these 2 things you want, okay? Either the project has failed to actually inspire the trust in the business that this new analytics platform is able to cope with whatever their needs are, okay? That's what you have to do. You have to allow that like-for-like comparison. You have to embed key analysts. You have to embed key analysts into the project process so that they can be involved in the validation steps. Because that secret bit of business logic that goes on will trip you up. And that secret bit of business logic has tripped me up many, many times, and I'm sure it will trip me up many, many times in the future. But until we actually understand exactly every item of business logic, we cannot build an analysis program or analytical model that will serve up what the business wants. So unless we involve them, we aren't going to uncover those business logic rules, which then means, well, yeah, great, brilliant, the new project's in, doesn't actually do what we need it to do, so we need to be able to download it into Excel to do more, to actually deliver the analysis that the business wants. So you've got to clear, well, you failed because you didn't capture everything. But it's not that you didn't capture everything, it's that it wasn't readily available, it wasn't documented, it wasn't captured anywhere else beforehand. The only way you would have got it is by speaking to those people that do every day. And the other thing is just, well, you've cut your scope so far and you've locked them off from being able to extend the analysis and do what they need to do to serve the business. So if you go through with the legacy mindset, say, good old days of SQL Server report services or, analysis services, we've built our cube, we've built our paginated reports, that's it. You might be able to change some parameters at most. Other than that, you're locked. Nothing else is available to you. And we wonder, well, why are they having to do stuff that we didn't want them to do? And it's because we don't allow them to do it. But then we expect them to do it anyway. So we see it's clear, isn't it? We need it in Excel is a problem of our own making. My advice with Excel is enabled. Yeah, you want it in Excel? Okay. There's obviously information security reasons not to allow you to pull it into Excel, and I fully support those. And those are things that should be discussed with the business. And it might well be that the security team say, no, we can't do it. But then we need to be showing them, look, this is what we can do. We can actually go connect to Excel and build analysis directly connected to our model. And all that will ever be in Excel is the result. So the aggregated table of data that you've built as a pivot table. And over time, it changes people's opinions, that they stop being about, well, I need to download everything and rebuild. I'll connect to this and just build this pivot table. And the next time I go in, it's refreshed. Or I can say, don't refresh because I need to be able to see what that value is. But I don't care because I can put a date filter on it and go back to last week and see what the values were last week. Understanding that and watching that moment dawn for people changes everything. Okay, that's when your project moves to that next level, that next step, that next capability. And that, as I say, comes down to understanding that we need to be preparing and supporting a community of practice and making sure they can do more and more work. Because if we went and said, okay, if you remember, okay, 15 reports are now coming from our parkrun semantic model. If, as is often the case, you remember we've got this economic business model, so we've actually started to look at finance numbers as well as shop floor in terms of what went on the day. We've potentially got two big teams that would normally be arguing at meetings. They can't argue now because they're both using the same numbers. So if one argues against the other, they risk invalidating their own findings. And that's, wait, what? This I've seen happen time and time and time again. Report content in legacy model is often exported specifically for this report. The two do not meet, even if they come from the same source. They go through different logic chains. They cannot necessarily be validated against each other without hefty manual effort. Bringing it all together into one semantic model, serving up with your various bits of business logic, surfaces up those things where we can have that discussion. Well, the finance team say this is the business logic. Or will the sales team say it's this? This is the sales logic. And we can have two versions. We can play the two side by side. We can understand the difference. It becomes important and it enables the business and you to do an awful lot more. So what do you reckon then? Okay. We have to understand the wrapper that goes around for self-service to be able to deliver and serve up successful Power BI implementations. And it's not just Power BI, it's the whole Power BI Fabric data model side, and even going into Power Apps, Power Automate. We have to embrace and understand the principles around self-service and understand and embrace the principles around potentially any development models that we want to use, be it DevOps, be it any of the other ones, whatever we're going to come up with next week. Please not vibe coding though. I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But we get to the point, don't we, that we can't just say, oh, well, we're one and done. This is what we need to do. Power BI is always going to be, and at these modern development cycles, even DevOps, it's not one and done. We've done today, and now we're going to do next bit, incremental refresh, incremental improvement. Brilliant. But we bring down the cost of DevOps by self-service, because if the business can kind of go back of a fag packet, test a few things themselves, and kind of come back and go, right, this is what works. Can you tie it up and make it proper, as opposed to saying, I've got a rough idea, here's a blank piece of paper, come and tell me what the solution is. Which one do you think is going to cost the business less? Which one is going to have greater user acceptance and lead to more tighter integration into the existing business processes? The one where we've kind of listened to a one-off request and gone away in isolation and built something, or the one that the business was involved in throughout, was involved in the testing of, was involved in the final implementation of? I'm not quite sure. What do you think? Let me know down below. You can kind of get the point, can't you? We have to make sure that engagement, that involvement is right at the heart of what it is we do. And anything that threatens that is a threat to the entire project, our entire investment that we've put into our Power BI estate, that we've pushed now. We're being asked to bring this through, aren't we, into Fabric. And potentially that's even more of an investment for a lot of clients. We're talking now saying, well, okay, these, we're going to need Fabric components in, we're going to need, this is going to, what it's going to cost. It's, there's more cost to it. You can still go down there and say, well, we're going to use Power BI Pro, we're going to use Pro PPU, like premium per user. We can do that, that's fine. We can also bring in Fabric, but there's a cost to each of those. And the push now is we want to bring more clients to Fabric, which is, I understand. Microsoft, the business, they want to sell more stuff. That's understandable. It comes down to, though, if we push blindly into that dev route and leave the business behind, we're back at the point where they are going to analyze in Excel by exporting everything into Excel, complain that, well, we can't export everything we need into Excel. This is stupid. This tool's rubbish. And all the stuff we're going to put in place, all our purview side, all our DLP stuff, so our data loss prevention side, it's all lost, wasted, because we couldn't support the business. Let's have a think on that. Okay. Next week, we'll bring through a massive update going through into the Parkrun data set at the moment. So we're going to have a look at everything that's going on with that, see where we are in the future, and that'll be then the end for this run and for the end of this series. So for now, stay safe, take care, ta-da.